analyzed all dialogue from Realm Reborn 2.0 to Dawntrail 7.1. Wow. Top 20 characters by lines. So this is everything. Everything. From the whole game? All of it. All the lines. It's from 3 days ago. Holy. Okay. So Alphino in first place, of course. He is a yapper. Alice, backing him up. Right there. Next to, but man, Alphino 7.1. It makes sense because he has a lot to say in every experience. He's also the diplomat. But then Wuk Lamat is actually in third place for the entire game. Are you telling me? In one expansion. Base patch. That's 7.1. Okay, base expansion in one patch had more to say than Y'shtola has ever said. Or Gratia. Or Minfilia even. What in the world? Wuk Lamat has almost as many lines as Alice, and Alice is a character you meet at the beginning of the video game when you first create a character. This is a game that has, what, 400 hours of story is what we're talking about here? You know, I've been thinking about this a lot, right? Oh my god, the third most common word, Papa. I know, Papa. It is really weird. Yeah, the Papa. This is what she said. She said Papa 68 times. Which is more times than Y'shtola has ever mentioned the Warrior of Light. The light has, the most the light has ever been mentioned is 46 times by one character. Okay. I think. Well, you know, I look at this and I imagine, I think to myself what I thought whenever I was playing through Dawntrail, which is, did they play it? Like, surely they did. They must, I know he did. I know Yoshi-P played it. I know he played it. I'm sure he played it because I think I remember. I can't believe I'm asking myself this question, but I have to because while I was playing it, I'm thinking there's no way he didn't notice this problem while he was playing it. Because then later, when there was a big criticism and feedback that he needed to address, he still didn't bring it up. He still wasn't like, well, that was a lot. She had a lot to say. She was constantly there. He never acknowledged this. Like, am I crazy? Am I going crazy? He was like, oh, we didn't write her confident enough. Okay, maybe part of the character writing is an issue, but what about the one issue that everyone agrees on? That's like overwhelming and overpowering. Okay, did you not notice? That's insane. That's crazy. But I remember in the lead up to Dawntrail, I think that Yoshi-P was like, he said that they were like just doing polishing. Like they were pretty much done and they were just polishing. Do you remember that? Or am I confusing that? It's another time. I think I remember them being like, oh yeah, we're just doing our final checks. Everything's good to go. Like we're just pretty much smooth sailing. Like they had no indication that they were rushing up against crunch or that it was a very stressful time to get everything done before launch. It seemed like they were done like in a very reasonable amount of time, which tells me that they had plenty of time to play it and check it and talk about it. Are you telling me there's no one on staff Nobody. Not a soul working there, reading a script, or watching it, the game, or playing it, or checking it, that was like, this seems like a lot for one character to say. A lot of time for one character to be on screen. Meanwhile, every single player you talk to, even people who liked the expansion, we all agree on that one point. Everybody, like, universally agrees that it was a lot of Wuk Lamat. I just feel like, I kind of feel like I'm going insane. That's all. It's actually insane. She said more than Y'shtola has ever said. And it's only been one expansion. I don't know. I feel like I'm being gaslit by... Whenever I read Yoshi-P's responses to the feedback, I felt like I was being gaslit a little bit. They absolutely knew. Yoshi-P said in an FF16 interview that they noticed issues with the story regarding the amount of lore. Amount of lore? But there's not even that much lore, because the lore is like... Tacos are there, and there's alpacas. And... like, I feel like the lore wasn't even that much. Okay, moblins, like, each culture has, like, one feature. Like, moblins have potsworn. And that's their culture. Like, what else do they do? I don't... Well, they did enslave people before, so that was extra thing. But I don't feel like I'm drowning in the lore I need to know about. Like, they try to make it seem... If they realize this in FF16... Oh, wait, no, you're thinking about FF16. Oh, I'm a dumbass. You're talking about the amount of lore with FF16. Okay, don't... I'm a dumbass. I didn't read what you said right, because I'm dumb. Yeah, I see what you mean now. But still, I guess I was referring back to the interview where Yoshi-P was like, we did so much world building, and it was too much. Like, we didn't want to overwhelm people with all the... We were just world building a lot. And I remember thinking, what the fuck? The Pixies have more culture that I know about. Like, the dwarves from the first have more culture. The sylphs, like, any beach tribe, I feel like has more... I know more about their culture, if we're gonna get hung up on that. Anyway, if they notice this with FF16, they certainly realize the Wuk issue during Dawntrail development. I don't know. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. Hi, Nick. How are you doing? Yoshi-P also mentioned that the thing he's most excited for in Dawntrail is the graphics update. He didn't mention the story at all. I felt like Yoshi-P hasn't had the capacity to care. And he's stretched too thin. Oh, okay. So do you think the problem is actually that he is tired? And I don't mean that in a sarcastic way. I mean, like, genuinely. Do you think that he's so tired, physically tired, that he can't, like, think clearly? Because this can happen. If you've been sleep deprived for a long time, you might not realize just how much... But it doesn't matter because... Okay. Even if that's the case, even if he's walking into work as a zombie, what about everybody else? He's not the only one. There's a ton of people who work there. This data analysis is wild. Oh, there's actually more pages to it. No. I just can't believe what I'm looking at. And yet, I can. And I can. I can't believe we got to this point. But it's obvious that this would be the result. As I said in my video, I think that what they did with Wuk Lamat was they wanted to kind of... I think I said this word for word in my video. lean on her as a tool to clumsily push the plot forward. So that every time you finish a quest, you just go back. And you just go back, and so she's like the one thing that's supposed to connect it all. I don't know. It's hard to imagine what they were thinking. I can't. Don't ask me, dude. I spent a long time analyzing this shit, and I didn't get smarter. Okay, next slide. Okay. Character lines by expansion. So the blue, dark blue is A Realm Reborn, light blue is Heavensward, Stormblood is red, Shadowbringers is purple, and Walker is Grage, and Dawntrail is yellow. Now, do you see anything? See anything unusual here? Like, we don't need the data. Because we know this. If you played it, you know that. But like it was gigantic. Now, obviously, if you have a character who didn't speak up much before, but now is a major character, it makes sense that they would have a big golden line, right? For the Dawntrail expansion, like Erenville here. However, you know, it's a normal amount. It's still a normal amount that he had to say. I mean, look at Zero, right? It's kind of, it's like a little more than Zero, but Zero wasn't that talkative. She's had things to say, but I think Erenville's probably a little more talkative. So it's like, it's a normal. Virtra, these are all within the realm of reality. Good God. Maybe someone at Square Enix will see this, because clearly checking the story didn't make it clear. Playing the story, they felt like it was fine, and that she didn't have that much to say, so maybe the graph will help. Yeah, surely. If they see the graph and the data, they'll understand what we're trying to say. Totally will. I bet. Look, here's the funny thing. We're only one patch in. Okay. This is 7.1. And you can bet that she's probably, there's a lot more to come in the next patches, because they said it's going to be 0.1, 0.2, and 0.3 are all still Dawntrail stuff. And then we aren't going to be free of the Dawntrail narrative until 0.4, 0.5, right? So I don't know. She's not, I don't think she's done yet. But I kind of got the impression that they had cut her out more of 0.1. Maybe I'm crazy, but I felt like they had deliberately cut places where I had expected her to appear. But the thing is, like, where's Kona? Oh, he doesn't even show up. You know why? Because after he gets elected to Dawn Servant, he goes back to Tuliolol to do the work. He's working in 7.1, like, oh, until he comes out to save that cow, though. But the rest of the time, he was definitely working. Okay, so what else we got? Dialogue analysis count by expansion. Okay, so Realm Reborn lines are about 12K. Heavensward. Oh, is this total lines? What? No way. No way. This is total lines is 6K. Heaven's Word. Heaven's Word told its story in only 6K lines? Damn. Stormblood, 8100. Shadowbringer, 12K. Endwalker, 18K. Didn't Endwalker have like the most cutscenes ever though? I think that was a selling point at the time. I'd like to see a count of how many of these lines are voiced from expansion to expansion. I think that would be interesting, but I think that might be harder to check. I don't have time for that. I'm not gonna do that. Dawntrail, 12K. Everything. I think the number of lines with Dawntrail is fine. It's just, you know, the lack of variety is the issue. Both in who's talking and what they're saying. Because the funny thing is, as I pointed out in my video, even when other people are talking that's not Wuk Lamat, they sound exactly like Wuk Lamat. That's the worst thing. That's what just twists the knife for me even more. So everybody talks exactly like her, even when she's not the one talking. Kind of feels like she still is. It's horrible. It was horrible. I had such a bad time. Everything else 5K. So it's like, what? Upcoming seasonal events, side quest things, unlockables. I'm actually, to me, what's most shocking about this graph is that Heaven's Word told its entire 3.0 story in under 6K lines. That's pretty good. That's pretty cool. Saying a lot in less words is extremely difficult, and it's the mark of a good writer. Like, was Heaven's Word perfect all the way through? No, I don't think so, but it was pretty damn good. I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, that's when I fell in love with the game. I was so hyped. That's when I joined Heaven's Word. I joined like 3.3-ish, I think. And I was like, this game is a banger because of the writing. That's why I got hooked from the very start. I remember starting in Limsa and thinking how cool it was that all the pirates talk in that super gruff pirate way. They're like kind of lewd and crude and hard to understand even at times, but I loved it. Because I talk to them and then they sound totally different from someone who's not a pirate. Everybody had a unique character voice that I could hear in my head almost. Well, because it's not voice, so you have to have good character writing if it's not voice especially, so you can imagine the sound of the voice and who these people are. Okay, fun facts. 25 most common words. Orivla is your name. Thank, Lord. Light. Pray is a big one. First. I'm surprised we didn't talk about darkness more. Darkness only mentioned 260 times. I'm kind of surprised by that. Indeed. Hey, have you ever started saying pray in real life after playing a lot of 14? You start saying that. Have you started this? Be like, I must needs go to the store. If you play long enough, you might start doing this. Well, I don't think anyone said must needs in Dawntrail. I feel like they might be retiring that one. Yeah. Yeah, I'd prefer to see time in cutscenes. I think that would be interesting. So I don't need to go into every single dialogue analysis. I'll give you the link to this in the chat right now, but holy crap. I laugh because I do not wish to cry anymore. I can only laugh now. It almost feels like a gallows humor. Not to be a... Most common words by Urianjay. Tis, thou, loperance. Giga base. Never change. Silly magic man. I do miss his extreme Shakespeare talk. Yes. I mean, that's his signature style. He's been hanging around Thanker too much. What, did he not? I feel like I barely heard him talk in Dawntrail. Zero has more total lines than Zenos. Well, that's because... Okay. I have a theory that Zenos, they had originally planned to spend more time on him in a Garlemald expansion, but then they already said that they chose to skip the Garlemald expansion. They admitted that and just go straight into Endwalker. And I feel like Zenos might have done a little dirty by that choice, because I felt like there was a lot of setup for him for interesting things to happen in a Garlemald expansion that they ended up getting skipped or just thrown in the trash because they wanted to rush into Endwalker. And that's probably a discussion for another day, but that is confirmed that they did do away with their plans for Garlemald expansion after Shadowbringers. I would have loved that, but that ship has sailed, I'm afraid. I seriously doubt it'll ever happen now. But here's a link to that post that was very funny. I wouldn't say enlightening, because I already knew this by playing the game, but it's still funny to see it all mapped out in data. That it really... She really had, with top 3, number 3 top words ever said in the game, ever. In one expansion. That's insane. That's so crazy. Yoshi-P. I just want to go to Square Enix, like with a printout of this chart. Show it to them and be like, please. Can you explain to me what you were thinking? Did you realize this? Did you not notice? Can everybody gather around? You want to chat about it? What happened? She's just chatty. Here's a link to that post. Absolutely goofy. Goofy times. Oh, this was actually an article that was posted about that Reddit post we just seen from PC Gamer. Yeah, but we've already been over the thing. Let me see if there's anything else they've added that I don't know about. And they're explaining their methodology. Narukami states that they used a custom compiled Python script to pull the details out of Aryu's mammoth document. A significant portion of this effort was in the data cleansing portion and deciding what edge cases constitute a word. For example, if I didn't pick up Bakul Jaja as a single word, then Ja would be considered a word and would muddy the analysis by becoming one of the most common words. Yeah, that makes sense. Wow, this sounds like a huge pain in the ass. Like, to actually analyze all this data seems like it was really tedious and time-consuming. Snip the most common words. It, your, they, which, yeah, right. Alphino, king of yappers. Okay. Some of Dawntrail's difficulty in prioritizing its characters is how Wuk Lamat is in 3rd place after just one yeah, we've been over that. I consider Wuk Lamat to be a symptom of Dawntrail's major scripting issues, not the cause. That's good. People are starting to realize that. That's something that I really tried. That's a point I tried to drive home hard in my video. Hogs the spotlight, not because she's a terrible character, but because the story leads struggled with characterization on the whole. But that doesn't mean that she's not a terrible character. Just because there are a lot of terrible characterization doesn't mean that the result isn't that she's not a good character as well as many other characters, because that's the result of poor characterization. So that's the cause, which has resulted in, yeah, like, We don't need to beat around the bush here. Like, it's just not a good character. With several missed opportunities, such as the Ralja confronting his father's shame, and like Kryl uncovering the mystery behind her birth. Like Kryl, previously, in previous expansions, was a fabulous character. But in Dawntrail, she's done dirty and she's not allowed to be a good character. Because she just does not have the time. She doesn't have the attention. It's not written in. Okay, she just shows up to be like, what about my earring? I'm sorry for bothering you. That's not the Kryl that we love, okay? That's poor characterization that she is a victim of, as much as Wuk Lamat. Though, in terms of the quantity, you know, that's a whole separate issue. Channeling all critiques towards a single character, though, rather than the writing room, strikes me as counterproductive and a little silly. And obviously, directing any sort of hate towards anybody is inexcusable. Thank you! That's the truth right there. And actually, you do have to lay this out for some people who are dumb. You have to say this. Like the ridiculous hate, like, I hate Wuk Lamat. I think it's so crazy. That's crazy. She's just not a well-written character. She's not real. She doesn't seem real even in the context of the story. It's weird. People are so weird. Can we just... Anyway, on a lighter note, there is some other fun stat points this exhaustive analysis turns up. Urianje's most spoken words are tis, thou, and Lopritz, which is adorable. Yep. Okay. Well, get over it. It's poor writing. And I appreciate that they pointed out that your criticism should go to the writing room and everybody who checked it. Because, man, I do feel like Wuk had great potential for a fun character to hang out with. I really do. I love, like, imagine Orange Cat Wuk Lamat. It would be, like, kind of crazy, adventurous, a little unpredictable, but, like, lucky. It would be fun. Like, I think that we missed a lot. I said this in my video, but I feel like we missed so many opportunities for comedy. Like, it could have been so funny. It could have just been a comedy, lighthearted, hilarious times. But it is... I mean, writing comedy is probably the most difficult form of writing you can attempt, though. You need to have, like, your absolute best people on deck if you want to try to write comedy, because it's very, very hard. I don't know what happened. Anyways, good data analysis, though. Props to the fans who did the legwork. Completely agree. Yes. I completely agree. It was a good concept for a character, but this is where we're at.